Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 389 of The Joy of Coding. Happy 2025. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. Gonna be live hacking on some Firefox stuff. Gonna be digging into some source code. I hope you're well. I hope you had if you took a break, if you took a holiday, I hope it was a good one. I hope, if you took a rest, that it was a restful one. If you saw friends or family, that was a good time. And if you're back at work, I hope that's been going okay. For myself, I started just this past Monday. As with every year, an exercise in digging myself out from under a mountain of bug mail and messages that had accumulated during my time away, because the internet never sleeps. The internet never sleeps, and people are always doing stuff. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of traffic. And so myself and a bunch of other people, who were on holiday are kind of catching up and coming back up to speed. Happy New Year, Smurf D. I see you there in the chat. Happy New Year. Well, what are we working on today? Well, first of all, let me start, as I always do, by sharing my screen. And we'll start with the preamble. Hey, it's January 8th, 2025, episode 389. A reminder, I say it every year. I say it every episode. I say it every day. No plan survives breakfast. I think I know what I want to do today. I think I know where I want to take the episode, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? My network might fail out, or we might get distracted with something. Emergency might crop up that we have to deal with. Anything could go on. Who's to say? Who's to say? But we're going to do it together. We're going to figure it out together. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the agenda that we're looking at right here is available to you. You can click on these links and follow along. Right now, there aren't too many useful links in here, but as I fill out, as the episode progresses, I might take some notes or something. You might find that useful. And so you'll see this little spinny spin, and you can get a version of the agenda in front of you. If you're watching this recording, the agenda will be locked in and done. And you can find links to this, the live, for the people watching live, it'll update if you refresh the page as I update it. And the people who are watching the recording, it'll be available to you, ready to go. It's the same link. It's down in the video description if you're on YouTube. It's over in the details section if you're on Air Mozilla. It's down in the channel details if you're on Twitch. And in case there's anyone else out there, let me just drop it into the chat. I think that's unprecedented. I don't think I've done that before. Sweet beats. Let me just drop that in the chat. Agenda link, just in case. Episode 389. I didn't even check to see if this was working. Yeah, okay, it's working. Okay, that's the preamble. So what are we working on today? What am I hoping to do? Well, I'm hoping to pick up the baton, hoping to carry on with work that we had started in late 2024 and really kind of drive it over the line over the next couple of episodes. We've been doing this work to document the customizable UI module, the customizable UI code. And during the very last episode of 2024, we took a little bit of a departure. We started, I think, what did I do? I was looking at the source code of the AGS adventure game engine just as a lark. I thought that was kind of fun, watching how an adventure game engine at least initializes. We didn't really get too deep into the guts of it, but if you are interested in seeing that episode, you can see me sort of get a sense of how the AGS adventure game engine at a high level is structured and how it initializes itself and gets ready to execute the logic for playing a game, which it's something that's always fascinated me. And if you watch that episode, you'll hear all about my love and fascination with point and click adventure games. Okay, so what are we doing today? Well, documenting the customizable toolbar code. I have not touched that code since probably about a month ago when we last touched it during I think episode 387. That'd be my guess is when we last touched it. So let's take a look at it right now. I just pulled from Central, so I've got the latest stuff. I need to rebase, so let's take a look at all the stuff I've got here. This is the branch that I want. I'm gonna check that out, and I'm gonna rebase this, and we're gonna deal with any conflicts that may have cropped up in the meantime. Whoop. Git rebase bookmark central. Let's see. Let's see. And if I recall correctly, we were inside of the customize mode module. Hey, no conflicts. That's incredible. So let's go ahead and... well, I don't actually know if we need to build... I didn't mean to do build with our default. We may, you know, if we end up changing any code, we might want an artifact build so that we can... you know, run tests or something. So let's quickly do an artifact. Let's pull up the customize mode source code and see where we got to. I think we were well over halfway. We've gotten to here, it looks like, and here. Let's see where we had gotten to. We're truly in the back half of this file, or the back few functions here. Here, it looks like we ended here. Set grid drag active. So we were dragging the items in the customize mode grid. You set it active, and then there's I think we were doing the work of like adding both adding doc strings like this and making these sort of like pseudo private methods with the underscores actually private. Which is, you know, something we get to do now that we have ES6 classes. We did not have that when we were first writing this stuff. So we can do that conversion at around the same time. Hey, oh, right, I've got this thing that I have to disable in my build config. Hold on. Let's get that build going. And we can start... Let's just keep going with what we were doing. So we look at SearchFox for who uses this method, and lo and behold, once again, this is only used internally with this, so we can make this a private method. And we'll go ahead and add... What is, you see this? Cache it good, cache it real good? Who added that? Did I add that? Who added this? Mike DeBoer. Is this a Devo reference? Who added that comment? Is it you, Mike DeBoer, in 2013? Cache it. It was. Well, okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. And so what we have here, we have to, before we document this thing, we need to understand what it's doing. So it's taking two arguments, a drag over node and the item that's being dragged. So the thing that we're dragging over and the thing that we're dragging. And we have this thing called a drag size map, which if it doesn't exist, we'll create one, a weak map. And then for... Oh, that's interesting. It's a weak map. It's a weak map that the keys are the dragged items, and then the value is another weak map. Weak map of weak maps. Interesting, interesting. Let's understand further. First of all, who else uses drag size map? Is this, I presume this is another thing that we can only, yeah, we can probably have that be a private member. I think we will then need to declare it. And we could probably declare it as a weak map rather than creating it lazily. That's probably fine. We can get rid of these like checks. Drag size map equals new weak map. Well, maybe let's not mess with the logic, actually. Let's start this as null. Let's not get too carried away. So this is either, this is a weak map mapping dragged items in the customized mode grid to a weak map of, well, I don't know. So type, it's either a weak map of like DOM node to weak map, or it's null. Let's see what it's actually used for. We set the item map calculate the size of the item when it would be dropped in this position. Okay. So we get the area that we're customizing into, and the initial area of the item being dragged. And then if we have an existing size for the area, then we'll return it. Otherwise, we want to calculate what the size of the customized area would be if the item were dropped in that area. Interesting. Okay. So and then I guess when the drag operation ends, we blow away the drag size map. Because I guess, yeah, okay, it's the item, and then it's like a mapping of the areas that that item is being dragged over, and then the value is the size. And the size is presumably a number. It's a width. Right? Dragged size. Property to no, it's an object of some kind. Border width, drag item size. What are we gonna get? Size. Oh, it's an object that has a width and a height. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead back over here to drag size map. So it's a weak map, DOM node. And then object, and maybe you might want to type def. What's the type def. An area, a description of the size of an area if an item, after a particular customizable item, a description of the size of an area after a particular customizable item is dragged into it, is placed within it. After a customizable item is placed within it. This is used during drag and drop operations to cache the size of an area after simulating what it would look like if the dragged item was dropped. Dropped and placed in that area. Okay, so it's an object, and I'm going to call it drag size. Drag size for area. Drag size for area. And then the property, I think it's 2 numbers. is width. And then, well, not numbers, number, property, number, height. And I think that was it, right? Like, width and then height. And that's from the, yeah, these are going to be, are these fractional values? Get bound and client rect returns a DOM rect. It's a double. So it's not just a number, it's a double. Okay. Double. Is that proper? No. Property float? What do we do for ESLint, JSDoc, double? Number types. Number, big int, string symbol, array function, date, regex. Okay, so maybe it's just number. It's not a big int. Okay. So like 3.514 instance of number, false, double, float. What kinds of number? What in type of 3.14? Number. Okay. Number. The width of the area after the item is customizable is placed after the width of the area, I should just say. The width, the height of the area. Okay. A weak map mapping dragged items in the customized mode grid to a weak map dragged customizable items. A weak map of areas that the item could be dragged into. That mapping maps to drag size for area objects that describe the width and height of the area where the customizable item to be dropped and placed within that area. Okay. Get drag item size. Dragged item. Oh, no, not the area. It's the item. It's the item. It's the size of the item. What size would the item be? The mapping maps to a drag size for area. To item size for area. That's what I'm going to call it. Item size for area. The size of an item description of the size of a customizable item were it to be placed in a particular customizable area. The width of the item, the height of the item, customizable item. What keyboard do I use? Felix Taken asks. This is a good question. I snagged this one from the office when I started working more from home, you know, initially during the lockdowns, and I never gave it back. This is I think this is not a fancy keyboard. This is a Lenovo keyboard. Let's see if I can find it in a grid of images. It looks like this. Yeah, this is it. I have a Think Plus USB keyboard. Nothing fancy. None in stock. But I cannot imagine that this is a very fancy keyboard. I'm not like a sort of like one of those people who collects really fancy mechanical keyboards. I like mechanical keyboards. I like the sound of them. And the feel of them. But I don't have I know people who like really geek out on colorful buttons and like springs and like very specific action on the springs and the sound and like the orientation and stuff, and I do not care. What I care about is all of the keys work. I have all the keys that I need. It's the key springs back after I'm done pressing down on it. Like that is what I care about. The width of the customizable item placed in a certain area. The height of a customizable item placed in a certain area. When placed. A weak map mapping dragged customizable items to a weak map of areas that the item can be dragged into. That mapping maps to item size for area objects that describe the width and height of that item were it to be dropped and placed within that area of the item. Describe the width were it to be dropped, placed within the area, since certain areas will encourage items to expand or contract. Okay. Glad we figured that out. Okay. So yeah, the drag item size. So given a node being a customizable item being dragged and a DOM node being dragged over. Can this also, I think this can also be null. That wouldn't surprise me. Can this be null? If element, then we get the closest. Oh, there's push palette. Get the closest thing. So it can't be null. Because that's weird. This is weird. So this is checking if element exists. This assumes element exists. Has this always been this way? Or has this changed such that this... Let's go back in time. Photon structure and element. Wow. Yeah, there used to be... Back in 2013, I worked on that. And then here, when did we change that? Element without latest version without this line. Can't find it. Maybe Mercurial can help us. Did that go away? Okay, so what I'll do is I will highlight that and say, okay, tell me the changes that have happened to those few lines over time. Here. 2017, September 29th. Make it possible to drop items in what visually looks like the palette, but isn't. So, okay. I think, do I have to dos here? Yeah. We are currently doing this part. What was this one is get customizable parent has a condition to check for a element that it probably doesn't need, since later on we assume a element is non-null. Okay, well, let's not worry about that for now. So then target area and current area. Yeah, drag over item and dragged item cannot be null. No, it cannot be null. Given a customizable item being dragged in a DOM node being dragged over, returns the size of the dragged item were it to be placed within the area associated with a drag over node. The node currently being dragged over. The node currently being dragged. The customizable item node currently being dragged returns a item size for area. Target area is not equal to the current area. Put the item back to its previous position. Restore the area type. Parent node drag. If the target area is so we hide the so while we're dragging it, if we for some reason over here, not when we're starting to drag, we will hide the parent node. The dragged item is wrapped, so the parent node is the item wrapping it. We'll hide it while the target area is not equal to the current area that the item is within. Interesting. Insert before. Area type. Move the widget temporarily next to the placeholder. Update the node's area type. Oh. Then we'll unhide the node. Oh. I see. We're doing this. So we're flushing layout. That's what's going on here. We like put a thing in a particular place, unhide it, flush layout, hide it again, get the size. That's why we're caching. Oh boy. Okay. Because we wanted the size synchronously. Okay. Well, not here to judge. I'm here to document. Okay, well, let's make this, I presume that this is also something that we can only, we only use within customizemode.sys.mjs, so we can go ahead and make this a private method. Great. Go ahead and document this. returns the closest, walks the ancestry, ancestry of an element, of a customizable, it should just be of a DOM node element, and finds the first, what is this? Find the closest one that, okay, that's interesting. We construct a CSS query for each of the areas by ID, and we use element.closest. Okay. To find, walks the ancestry of the DOM node element and finds the first one that has a and finds the first customizable area node in that ancestry, or null if no such customizable area node can be found. Returns DOM node. The element, the DOM node for which to find the customizable area parent. The customizable area parent of a element. Yeah. Get drag over node. How are we doing? 3308. You know, we might actually finish this file today. That'd be pretty great. We could put that up for review. Then we'd only have two big ones left: customizable widgets and customizable UI. And I want to like mention something. I think I had mentioned it a few episodes back because someone was asking about TypeScript. I want to emphasize something here, that this is not just, oh, it's a good thing to document your code because people are going to read it. I mean, that is a good thing to do. You definitely want to document your code so people can read it and understand it and not have to, you know, everyone's reading code. Like, you should be reading code all the time. The more you can do to make it easier for people to read your code, the easier time everyone's going to have to do the more interesting stuff, which is to modify the code to either fix problems or solve new problems, fix existing problems, solve new problems, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that's the fun stuff. It's still, like, I find it fun to read code and understand what it's doing, but I imagine that most people get more of a dopamine kick out of, like, modifying code and using it to solve problems. And the more you can do like, as you're exploring, as you're learning and understanding, to make it easier for people who come after you to read that code, to understand it so that they can change it, the better. That's a good investment in time. Because otherwise, you know, you may become an expert on it and you have it all internalized in your head, but then you become a point of failure. You know, if you I don't know, you change teams, you leave the organization, you decide to get out of the industry, you get hit by a bus and you're stuck in a coma or something, then all of that knowledge is locked up and people have to basically do repeat work. And if there's one thing I do not like, it is repeat work. So that's one part of it. But the other part of it is that by documenting our code like this, we can take advantage of some of the type safety mechanisms that TypeScript offers without having to go full-blown using TypeScript. You know, TypeScript, the TypeScript compiler has a mode that allows it to ingest JavaScript, raw JavaScript, rather than TypeScript, and to use the JSDoc style documentation to check for type violations, basically, type safety violations. And that's great. And that's what all of this is allowing us to do. The more we can do this, it's a double whammy in the positive sense. It makes it easier for people to understand the code and modify it in the future. It makes it so that people don't have to do the same reading that I'm doing, hopefully. And it also allows us to get some type safety guarantees once that kind of integration is in place. So that's that's some justification if you're wondering, like, why the heck's he doing this? This is boring. Like, this is good hygiene. This is what we're talking about. It's good hygiene. Brush your teeth, eat your veggies. Okay, let's do another one. Get drag over node, also used internally. We can go ahead and make that private method. And then we'll add our doc string. What do we have here? What have we got going on today? Get drag over node. So we have an event, an area, and an area type. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the customization target for an area element. That's interesting. Get the customizable parent, which is not necessarily the area element. No, it would be. Get customization target. What is the... customization target? Oh, so instead of walking the ancestry chain, it takes an existing area and gets the target of that area within that area that actually can be customized. So, like, items will actually live within. Okay. If the existing parent for the event does not contain the event target. So if the area element that we passed, its customization target does not contain the thing that's being dragged, then we'll return the expected parent. I see. So if it doesn't already live there, either if in the other case, offset the drag event's position with the offset to the center of the thing we're dragging. Sure, this is within the container. The closest node. Get the drag over node. Target node. So while we're dragging, on drag over, we will get the drag over node. And that will become the target node while we're dragging over the drag over node. Huh. Okay. So given a drag over event, during a drag over drag operation of a customizable item, returns the node that a customizable item is currently being dragged over. Get drag over node. Target area. So we assume that target area, okay, so we're given during a drag operation of a customizable item returns over a customizable area, returns the node within that customizable area that the item is currently being dragged over. Expected parent. If we don't already contain what are we passing as the first argument? The event. This is the drag over event. And the event target. I need to kind of remind myself again what the event target of a drag over event. The target, what is the target? was the target? I think it's the drop target. I think it's the drop target. So the drag over target, if the thing we're dragging over or area element, target area, we'll get the customizable parent for right. We just documented that one. So we find the target within that area. If the parent does not contain why? That is very strange. I don't understand that. Let's see if we can figure out why that is done the way it is done. Why would you return this? Actually, check that moving items from the toolbar panel to the palette by dropping on the panel container, not inside the visible panel. Oh, I think I get it. Let's take a look. Not immediately obvious, I must say. Okay, so the panel container, where is that? Let's take a look. There's the wrapper. And I think what's going on here is this container, if you take a look, actually extends all the way down to the bottom of the page. And they want it so that anything that you drag in this region counts as a drop on the palette. This window is undefined. 240. Wow, look at all this. This window is undefined. What did I do wrong? 2407. 2407. Did I do that? Did I do that? This dot window. Did you mean this dot window? Yeah, I meant that. Yeah, I definitely need those. Let's do that again. Actually, I'll go ahead and hit done. Let's build. Right. Okay. I think that's all I kind of wanted to see. So, what did we learn? We learned that the expected parent may or may not actually be the drag over. We may have been redirected. I think that's what this means. We may have been redirected to a different area. Like instead of the panel, we're redirecting to the palette. And if that's the case, we're going to say, okay, well, you get the redirect right away. Otherwise, we do some geometry. We figure out the bounds of the thing that we're dragging over. If the thing that we're looking at is a toolbar, the thing that we're dragging over is a toolbar or a panel, then we will figure out what we're over exactly. And target node. Then we will work our way up to the expected parent. Or to null. Okay, we'll work our way up the DOM tree. And we'll find the expected parent. Or target node will be null. If we're in a different area, we'll figure out the position in the grid. This will presumably be the palette. We'll ask the position manager to find us the node that we are dragging over. Relative to the container, bounds being the thing we're dragging over container. Fine. Oh, right. Because drag X and drag Y will be like screen coordinates, I think, or maybe full window coordinates. We'll make it relative to the container. Find the closest node. Okay, so this is all very complicated, but during a drag operation of a customizable item over a customizable area returns the node within that customizable area that the item is that the item should be that the item is being dragged over. Okay, so this is a drag event or drag over event. Is that what we'd call it? What is this? This is a drag event. The drag over event being handled. A area element is a DOM node. The area element, customizable area element, we should consider the drag over operation to be occurring on. This might actually be different from the target of the drag over event if we've retargeted the drag. For example, this is cbug such and such, cbug such and such for an example of where we target a drag over area to the palette rather than the overflow panel. And then the area type, which is a string. The type, do we have a prior like specific type, area type? I think it's toolbar, panel, like area, fixed overflow panel, far. Is there... Is it a place? A place? Is it the same thing as a place? Get place for item. Yeah, okay. I think we should call it a place. A place. Returns DOM node. The node that within a area element that we should assume the dragged item is being dragged over. If we cannot resolve this to a specific target, target, this falls back to just being the a event target. Okay. And a bunch of utility methods. Hey, we're almost done. We're almost done. We're almost down to the Whimsy Pong. I don't know how we're gonna document the Whimsy Pong Easter egg, because you don't, like, how do you document an Easter egg? Okay, on mouse down. These are different implementations. This is very common. Okay, I think this is safe to, yeah, nothing to see here. Exactly. Okay, I think we can go ahead and make this private. On mouse down. And handles mouse down events. Handler mouse down events in the customize mode UI. A mouse down event is of type mouse event. Mouse down event being handled. It does not return anything. Yeah, nothing to go on here. Although we will toggle the attribute mouse down on a particular item if we can find, if we are clicking on a particular item, we'll set the mouse down attribute. If the mouse down event is being fired on a customizable widget, customizable item, it will have a mouse down attribute set to true on it. Okay. Mouse up. Similar. I'm going to presume this is similar in that there is, yeah, mode dot on mouse up. Yeah, I think that's safe. We're going to go ahead and make that a private method. So this is a handler for mouse up events in the customize mode UI. for the primary button. Mouse up events for the primary button. If the mouse up event a customizing moving item attribute is also set to true, on the document element, if the mouse up event if the mouse up event is being fired on a customizable item, it will have the mouse down attribute added in on mouse down removed. This will also remove the customizing moving item attribute on the document element. And this is a single param, a mouse up event being handled. Get wrapper. Did you see my wrap arms? There you go. Get wrapper. Only used internally. Looks like, but that's all unrelated. Okay. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Get wrapper. Okay. Given a customizable item, returns the toolbar palette item wrapper node ancestor, or one of its descendants. If no such wrapper can be found, this returns null. Okay, return param DOM node, the customizable item node, or one of its descendants, to get the wrapper toolbar button, toolbar palette item wrapper node for. Returns DOM node or null. Toolbar palette item wrapper node or null if one cannot be found. Find visible previous sibling node. Also used only internally. So, what's this used for? Given some element, given some DOM node walks the previous sibling nodes until it finds one while there's a node and the node's a toolbar palette item. Given some toolbar palette item wrapper walks the prior sibling elements until it finds one that either isn't a toolbar palette item or doesn't have its first element hidden. Returns null if no such prior sibling element can be found. Reference node. The node to check the prior siblings for visibility. The toolbar palette item node. If a reference node is not a toolbar palette item, this just returns the a reference node immediately. DOM node, the or null. First visible prior, the first prior sibling with a visible first child element, a visible first element child, or the first non-toolbar palette item prior sibling, prior sibling, or null if no such item can be found. Okay. Keep going. On palette context menu showing. Okay, so that's only used internally, so we can go ahead and make that private. And that's the handler for pop-up showing. This is the pop-up showing event handler for the context menu on the customization palette. I didn't realize there was a context menu. Is there a context menu on the palette? A special one? There isn't. Oh, there is if you are hovering a particular item. Okay. Context add to panel. Disabled is flexible space. I see. So the pop-up showing event is what kind of event is it? Pop-up showing WebIDL. No. What kind of event is a pop-up showing event? Do we have any prior documentation that tells me pop-up showing fire pop-up showing event? It's a widget mouse event. That's interesting. Widget mouse event easel pop-up showing. A widget mouse event. Let's Yeah, we already do that kind of thing here. Widget mouse event. The pop-up showing event being fired for the context menu. Okay, on panel context menu showing. So that's going to be similar, I think. And that is fired. Ooh, who fires that? Here, this is used externally. Why? Customization panel item context menu. Why do we handle that here? That is strange. This is called, okay, so this is, we can't make this private. Why is that in here? This menu is here because not having it in the menu in which it's used flickers when hover styles overlap. Oh, okay. So that answers my question. All right. And this is dependent bug only happens because the menu pop-up is inside the overflow panel. When hiding one pop-up destroys another, like here. Okay. For the context menu on the overflow panel, sorry, what is the element exactly? It is customization panel item context menu. I see. For the context menu, when the item for the context menu for items in the overflow panel. While in customize mode. For the context menu. This is currently public due to bug, also see bug. So and so. Check for downloads click. We're almost there. It's 2:11. Are we gonna get to Whimsy Pong? Maybe. Maybe. Check for downloads click. Only used internally. And what is this? We're adding a click event handler on the window. Huh. And we're checking for, okay. So this is a mouse event. A window click event handler that checks to see if the item being clicked is the downloads button clicked in the window, is the downloads button wrapper with the primary button. This is used to show the auto hide, downloads button auto hide panel. Hide panel. The click event on the window. Okay. Set up download auto hide toggle. Okay, adds a click event listener to the entire window. Do we ever remove this click event listener? Yeah, okay, here. Adds a click event listener to the entire window to check to see if the downloads button is ever clicked while in customize mode. Callers should ensure that tear down download auto hide toggle is called when exiting customize mode. Yeah. Removes the click event listener on the window not the entire top level, on the top level window that was added by setup download auto hide toggle. Maybe move downloads button to navbar. Who calls that? Just ourselves. Attempts to move the downloads button, the navigation toolbar, to the navigation toolbar, but only if the user toggled the auto hide checkbox while the item was in the palette and hasn't moved it since. Move the item to the default location in the navbar for them. Attempts to move the downloads button to the navigation toolbar in the event that they've turned on the auto hide feature for the button while the button is in the palette. So yeah, what is this? Move downloads button to navbar. False. That's gotta be something we can make private too, eh? Yeah. This is used Wait, is this ever used? Yeah, here. Yeah, of course, where we were looking. When's this used? When's this called? Okay. When exiting customize mode, this is set. If this is set to true, this means that the user enabled the downloads panel downloads button auto hide feature while the button was in the palette. If so, then on exiting customize mode, this state variable, the button is moved to its default position in the navigation toolbar. Okay. Show downloads auto hide panel. Did you hear all that cricking and cracking? The while I stretched there? Yeah, I need to stretch more often, I think. Holy cow. Just checking to see. I'm being lit up with messages. I want to see if they're an emergency. Hold on. Okay. Not an emergency. Okay, so the next one is show downloads auto hide panel. Yeah, that one we can make private. And it looks like this returns a promise that resolves to undefined, at least. Yeah. So what we do here, we show the tooltip if the button is in the panel. Really? We don't show the tooltip if the button is in the panel. That's true? Okay, let's see here. Customize toolbar. If I move the item into the panel, oh, yeah. But if it's over here, we show it. If it's over here, we show it. If it's in here, we don't show it. That seems to be a conscious choice. I don't know why though. Why is that? Let's see who added that and see if we can figure out why. Functionality more seamless. Personal long discussions. Okay. Automatically show hide the downloads button by default based on whether the session has downloads or not. Have a hidden pref to turn that behavior on or off. Have some TBD UI to toggle set pref. Show the item in customize mode even if auto hidden normally. The default position of the button will be next to the URL bars before. I probably add a migration step to put the button there. You auto hides. Users can move the button if they don't want it there. Edge case is confusing. Toggling the overflow button based on whether there are downloads as well. If auto hide is turned on, would be a bit nightmarish. Instead, we'll practically speaking not auto hide when the button is in there. Oh, I see. Right. If the button is in the overflow panel, if the user drags it in there, then it's like always visible, even if auto hide is enabled. Let's actually test that case. I'm curious. Customize. We're going to say hide button when empty. I'm going to put this in the overflow panel. And yeah, it's always visible. And then if I put this back, then I can say hide button when empty. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. So what is this thing ultimately doing? Opens the panel that shows the toggle for auto hiding the downloads button when there are no downloads underway. If that panel is already open, it is first closed. What else happens? This returns early. The panel is not shown if the downloads button is in the overflow panel, since when the button is there, it is always visible. It does not auto hide. Okay. I think that's good. On downloads, auto hide change. That sounds like when we change the state. Now this is called externally, so we can't make that called when the downloads button auto hide panel, auto hide toggle panel toggle is changed. Toggle changes value. This is public because that auto hide toggle is also shown oh wait, no, it can be, this is different. There's two different implementations. Okay, changes value. So this can be private. That's good. Oh, that also auto hide button changes value. Auto hide toggle. This is going to be a command event, I think. The event that invoked that caused the toggle change. So what that'll do is that'll change the pref checkbox to the checkbox state. Okay. Customize touch bar. So for people who have touch bars. Remember when that was a thing? Ooh boy. Do we still support that? I guess we do. Touch bar. Touch bar, is touch bar initialized? Oh. Set touch bar initialized. For unit tests only. So S touch bar is initialized is true. To no, initialize to no, and then set to yes if we get make touch bar called. The function make touch bar, every new instance of an S window. The window will own it if defined. Make touch bar is defined. That window will own a new instance of NS touch bar. Okay. So we're just implementing that. Okay, fair enough. Customize touch bar. And that's got to be private. That's got to be something we can be, yeah, make private. Okay. called when the customize touch bar button to customize the Mac OS touch bar is invoked on compatible hardware. I guess is clicked. It's clicked. Yeah, toggle Pong. Here we go. We got to the we got to our fun part. How do we toggle Pong? I need what to say about this. This is a method to toggle Pong. You heard me. Boolean enabled true if Pong should be launched. If it's possible toggling for a reason other than hitting the button, we might be exiting, so make sure that the state and checkbox are in sync. Toggle Pong if enabled. True if Pong should be launched. This method contains a very simple implementation of a ping pong game, of a Pong-like game, calling this method. So this definitely should be private. Toggle Pong. Yeah, when we exit. True if Pong should be launched, or false if it should be torn down. Whimsy button. Okay. So toggle Pong. We're gonna make that a private one. Toggle Pong. So this is a method to toggle Pong on or off in customize mode. This method contains a very simple implementation of a Pong-like game. Whimsy Pong. Just the one. Calling this method presumes that the Pong area element is visible. And what does it return? It returns a function. Returns a cleanup function, which tears down the launched Pong game. Okay. Done. Okay, so we're at 2:32. Let me just quickly check my calendar. 2:32 Eastern time. I've got a meeting in just over half an hour. I do want to finish this file. I'm going to who calls this dispatch function? I think we can go ahead and just replace this with this. I don't think that's dispatch function. Yeah, not used. And then we can go ahead and this is a drag event and caller drag data, that's a string or null. A utility function that when in debug mode emits drag data through the debug logging mechanism for various drag and drop events. This is called manually. This is okay. Can when in debug can emit drag data through the debug logging mechanism for various drag and drop events. The drag event to dump debug information to the log for an optional string to indicate the caller of the log message, and it returns nothing. And gang, that's it. That's our file. So let's go ahead and commit that. We'll go ahead and git add browser components customizable UI customize mode, git commit amend. I think we should run the tests one more time, and then we'll call it there. Let's run the tests. Mock test browser component customizable UI test. Let's see what happens. Pew pew pew. That is right. Pew pew pew. There's only 2 files left. Customizable UI, which is already like we started there and we documented a chunk of it. I think we got it to the point where the existing JS doc comments were valid. Now we need to get it to the point where anything that doesn't already have JS doc commentary has such commentary. We want to make sure everything's documented. And then there's customizable widgets, and then we're done. We're done, and we can move on to something else. Although, it'd be really neat, and maybe worth doing, is if we could figure out a way of turning on the TypeScript support now that we've finished this documentation. That might be useful. Just as an exercise for developers, or like just making it, proving out that it works. The web extensions team is already doing this for some of their code. And, type safety, it's nice. Can probably prevent a lot of bugs that we can detect at like statically, just by analysis. Come on, tests. Come on, tars. Come on, tars. Well, with that, I think I'm gonna call it. I think this test run's almost done. But I'm gonna go ahead and thank you all for watching this first episode of The Joy of Coding for 2025. Which one was this again? It was like episode 389. We're only 11 away from 400 episodes. Wow. That's pretty exciting. I'm so excited to keep streaming, and I hope you're finding this interesting. All the tests passed. That feels pretty good. I'll hopefully post that up for review shortly. And then maybe I can even start landing some, because I feel like these have kind of been sitting in limbo for a while, and maybe it'd be a good idea to just start landing some of them, and we can just like leave the bug open. Also, I just want to run the mock lint outgoing fix. Is there any linting issues in any of the stuff we've changed? Just double checking. 2 things fixed in customize mode. So we'll go ahead and submit or make those changes and amend. Get, add, get, commit, amend. Done. All right. Hey, thanks again for watching episode 389 of The Joy of Coding. Let me know what you thought. There's a link to rate this episode here. I should flesh out what we did. We finished documenting customize mode. .sys.mjs. Wow, that took forever. Hopefully the next few won't be so rough. Let me know what you thought of the episode. There's a link here to rate this episode. I'm going to drop a link to rate this episode in the chat, so you can let me know what you thought. You can also use this to ask me questions. If you've got questions, about Firefox or Mozilla or open source or software development or live hacking or whatever, you can send your questions in that way. I read everything that comes in. This is also a great way of letting me know what you think of the stream, and if you want to give me feedback on things you want to see more of or less of, that's how you do it. And we'll call it there. Thanks again, everybody. Have yourselves a great week. I'll hopefully see you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.